Hi, Brian Howard from feelingnegative.com. Welcome to another video episode. This time around I'm going to show you how to load your film onto either metal or plastic reels for doing your own developing. So you're going to just need a couple of things to do this. One is obviously the film. You'll need a can opener or a bottle opener of some sort to crack the can open. And a small pair of scissors preferably if you're using a changing bag. Big pair, doesn't matter if you're using a darkroom. And then you're going to need your tanks and reels. So plastic or metal, whatever you choose or whatever you have, doesn't matter. Either one works. And then you're going to need a dark place to do this because your film can't be exposed to the light. So either a sealed off dark room, which might be more preferable for some people. You know, you have more room to move around, you're not confined to a changing bag. Or if you want to use a changing bag, it can be a little more convenient and comfortable to do. It's kind of a personal preference thing, but I would suggest getting one at least. These things come in different sizes. Just get the biggest one you can. I don't know if I did get the biggest one I could or not, but I got whatever, was at my local photography store, and it's working out okay. So you just kind of lay this out, and the first thing you're going to want to do is just pull everything apart, put everything in the changing bag, kind of lay it out. I like to put my tanks and reels on one side and the film and other tools on the other side, and then I would proceed to zip that up and put my arms into the armholes and start working. One suggestion that I have for working with a changing bag is go in there with clean, dry hands. If you start touching your film with weird stuff on your fingers, it might not develop correctly. If your hands are either sweaty or just not totally dry and clean, this is kind of a sealed bag when you're working with it, so it's going to get kind of hot and humid inside, and it makes the film harder to work with. So, try to go in there and keep it as dry as possible. So it's really pretty simple to do, but I can't show you on the video through the changing bag. So what I'm going to do is pull everything back out, and then we'll do kind of a straight down shot on the table, and I'll show you how to load it up into each of the different types of reels so you can kind of see how to do that process. Okay, first up we're going to load the metal reel. Remember, this whole process has to take place in a changing bag or a darkroom, so don't open up your film outside. Now when you're first doing this and practicing, fine, buy some cheap film, open it up and practice all you can with it, definitely. But when you're doing the real deal, when you have exposed film, don't do that. So crack the can open first. So I usually just pop the bottom off and then pull this guy out. They're gonna, kind of spool out like that, and you'll have this leader on the end that you actually need to get rid of. So while this is in the changing bag, remember you gotta do this with your eyes closed. So I'll typically kind of stick my fingers across it like this, and then just come in and snip it off as straight as possible. Don't trim the corners or anything. Just trim it off and just leave it on the spool. It's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. And then you'll find your spool or your reel, and you're going to notice there's this little clip kind of in the middle. You're going to shove the film down into there, and that's what's going to hold it so you can start reeling it on to these guys here. So take your film, kind of force it into there, and don't worry about this end of the film because it's all not usable film anyways. So just kind of shove it in there, make sure it's in all the way, and then what you're going to want to do is kind of grab on the sides of the reel here and grab the sides of the film and almost kind of curl it down a little bit and give it a little bit of a tug so that it starts kind of pulling on to that first coil. Now you kind of have to treat the stuff in the middle a little bit differently than the stuff on the outer sides. You have to put a little more tension on it, put a little more curl on it so that it kind of goes in there smoothly. And you see I just got kind of a little bit of leader, and then I'm winding it up and then giving myself more leader, winding it up some more. And when you screw this up, you can kind of feel it, you can kind of hear it. It kind of makes a popping noise and crinkling, and then it won't wind correctly. And what can happen is you can jump coils, and you can either sandwich one spool or one section of film against another section of film, and it won't develop correctly. So you'll just keep kind of going, and you might have to let this spool kind of let its own tension out there because it's going to be wound up. So as you kind of go outward a little more, it gets easier to put on, I guess. You don't have to put as much curl or tension on it. And then you'll get out here towards the end. And this is a short exposure roll, so with a 36 it'll go all the way to the end, and then you'll feel it when you get to the end, it won't unwind anymore. So there, I've wound it up on the thing, and then again, just kind of at the very end, take your fingers and chop the film off. And then fold this down and make sure that it's kind of not touching anywhere. Now, it's hard to really check if you got it right while it's in the changing bag or in the darkroom. But what I typically like to do with these metal reels, if you have a little bit of a fingernail, you can kind of start on the outside and you can almost feel it on each coil. You can kind of feel the film. And if you're missing one, maybe it skipped one or something like that, but you don't have really a visual way of checking that. So you would then take this and put it into your tank, put the lid on it, and then you can take it out of the changing bag or out of the darkroom, and then you're ready to develop. Now we'll do the same with the plastic reel. The only thing is I've already opened the film and cut it. I'm just going to use this same one that I used for the metal reel. So these plastic guys, they're a little easier to use. Sometimes you just kind of have to find where this opening is on them. There's going to be like an opening to the grooves, and they rotate back and forth. So what they do is they feed the film in as you wind it like that, and it'll kind of wind itself in there. So see if I can get this to go without it getting caught up. I've got a problem loading these where they just kind of get caught on stuff, or they'll want to bind a little bit. So you find that spot, load it in there, and then you start going back and forth and use a little bit of finger pressure to kind of force the film in there as it goes. Don't force anything. There's no reason to put a lot of pressure on this. It's very light action. And there it goes. It's almost all the way in. Okay. So that's that. Can be a little bit faster. Sometimes they'll catch up on these, where they go through or something, but if that's your thing, if that's what you want to do, cool, it works. So that's how you do that one. Pretty simple stuff also. And then again, you would put that into your tank and run it through your developing process, and there's your film. Hopefully that was somewhat informative for some of you out there who haven't done it before. It's kind of a hard thing to figure out at first. The main thing is really just practice as much as you can. Buy some cheap film, open it up, do it while you're watching it so you can kind of see how it works and what goes into it, and how to work it, and then start closing your eyes or blindfolding yourself, and then practice in a changing bag so that you can't peek, and so you're kind of more constrained, and then eventually you'll just be comfortable doing it. I don't think I've really messed up any. I messed up one on a 120 reel when I was trying to load two of them on here, and I missed the separator, but that's kind of a different story. With just the 35mm stuff, it's really pretty easy to do. Just practice. So that's that. Next video episode, I'll be, now that we've loaded up our film, I'll be talking about chemicals and mixing chemicals and different types of developers and stop baths and fixers and things like that. So that's the next step in our process. We'll see you then.